Singapore will set up a new national space agency from April to better seize opportunities in the expanding space economy. It'll develop and operate the country's national space capabilities while setting regulations for safety and sustainability in an increasingly congested space environment. The global space industry is projected to reach $1.8 trillion by 2035. Ivy Chok tells us more.
A big leap for Singapore as the country aims to set up its first national space agency from April this year. Now, the aim is to be a leader in space tech as well as to contribute credibly to the global space industry. It will also bring a big boost to the space sector here, which is home to about 70 companies and about 2,000 working professionals across the value chain, ranging from manufacturing space components as well as other tech innovations. The new National Space Agency of Singapore, or NSAS, builds on the work of the current Office for Space Technology and Industry, bringing space capabilities under one roof. It will provide up-to-date satellite images and data analytics, which can be used to improve port operations, urban planning, and environment monitoring. The agency will also play a regulatory role.
And as the sector grows, we recognize the importance of a facilitative regulatory environment. NSAS will therefore also develop legislation and regulation for our space sector, with the aim of being pro-innovation and pro-business, while meeting the high standards for space safety and space sustainability.
Now, Singapore has already published guidelines on registration of space objects to ensure safety. It's also looking to invest in emerging areas, such as sustainability tech and microgravity research for healthcare applications. Industry players like ST Engineering have already made inroads. It co-owns 3 Earth observation satellites with the government and is building more.
Comprising 4 satellites, with deployment over 3 years beginning in 2027, will provide up to 16 daily revisits along the equatorial belt, establishing timely and actionable insights for environmental monitoring, disaster response, maritime security, and critical infrastructure management.
The firm is also working on tech to allow communication between satellites without relying on ground stations, making data transfers faster. Authorities say anchoring such space tech companies will continue to be a focus, along with building a supply chain of component manufacturers and developing a strong talent pool.
So why does Singapore need a space agency? Well, space already powers daily life, from communications to climate tracking. But as space grows more crowded and competitive, a central agency can better coordinate strategy to capture these emerging opportunities. Now, Singapore also joins a growing push across ASEAN. Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines already have national space agencies. Each is focused on areas like remote sensing, geospatial solutions, and promoting domestic space programs. So, as space activity grows across the region, Singapore too is charting its trajectory. The new agency has 5 key priorities: develop and operate national space capabilities, strengthen research and development, and grow the space industry by supporting local firms and attracting global players. NSAS will also deepen international partnerships, especially within the region, and enact national space laws. Until now, Singapore's space work sat mainly under the Economic Development Board, with a focus on industry growth. A full-fledged agency goes further. It can run national programs, coordinate across ministries, and set rules and standards that could enable Singapore to shift from being a space enabler to a space actor in its own right. And for more on this, we speak with Michelle Khoo, who is leader at the Deloitte Centre for the Edge Southeast Asia, which helps organizations harness the potential of space technologies. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Hi, Angela. Very good to be here.
Well, we know that Singapore really wants to tap the potential of space technologies in a big way. So where do you think are the biggest opportunities for Singapore to grow the space economy?
It's notable that Minister Tan See Leng mentioned that the agency's focus is also to be pro-business and pro-innovation. And I think that makes it very clear where Singapore has set its sights in terms of the opportunities in the space economy. And that really aligns with our Deloitte research in terms of where these opportunities are, that it's not just about space for government and space for defense, but really the large economic opportunity is in space for non-space industries, so applying commercial applications to benefit life on Earth.
Yeah, so what would some of these commercial applications be, and how is Singapore uniquely positioned to meet those needs?
Yeah, so how space is evolving today, really, we are at a very important time or juncture where there are a lot more enterprise-ready solutions available for commercial entities to adopt in terms of analytics, in terms of being able to monitor operations on the ground when it comes to, say, maritime or airport or urban use cases in urban planning. And this is where we will see a lot of growth in applications. I think besides that, there is also a lot more satellites being launched, and there are a lot more modern satellites being sent up into space. And that means better sensors, better technologies that we can deploy here on Earth. But that also means that there is an opportunity here in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of making sure that the data that we are using from the satellites is safe.
Yeah, that's definitely a very important place to focus on as well. On the other hand, then, despite all these potential, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that Singapore might face as we take a big step into this arena?
So, of course, Singapore is not a traditional space power like the US, China, Japan, or even Russia. And of course, given our small size, physical size, we don't have a place where we can launch rockets. So in that sense, Singapore will have to build a very different type of space industry here. And the way that we support the space industry will have to focus a lot more on the commercial applications of it.
Well, what do you think then also are the biggest gaps in terms of what you think with Singapore's availability of talent or when it comes to skills? What is the gap here, and are we well positioned to meet it?
So Singapore already is starting from a very good base. We have, over 6,000 professionals, right, across 70 firms already here in Singapore. The gap, or I think the demand for new talent that Singapore would have to build up is really in terms of being able to apply satellite data and insights into commercial applications. And that means that, the advantage is that Singapore is already a strong AI and data hub. And all we need to do now is to also build up those special capabilities in terms of understanding how satellite technology works, the spatial reasoning of being able to interpret geospatial data. And I think we will be able to support the region and even the world in such capabilities.
Yeah. And among these announcements today, there was also this focus on making sure that Singapore's assets are kept safe in an increasingly congested space environment. You mentioned that cybersecurity is a very important aspect of this, but how feasible is this for Singapore given our current capacity?
So now, I think what people need to understand is how congested space actually is. And if you actually zoom out and look at Earth from above, you'll be amazed by how much is going on out there. There is already 15,000 satellites there. And in terms of when you add on space debris and rocket bodies, there is quite a lot happening. Now, if you think about 15,000 more satellites going up in the next 5 years, these assets will need safe passage into space. Now, who better than Singapore to be able to manage and secure such space assets? We already have, we are already one of the best in the world in terms of managing air traffic, in managing maritime traffic. And space will be just the next domain.
Yeah, the next frontier for Singapore.
Exactly.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for breaking all of this down for us and helping us understand this next big step that Singapore is taking. I've been chatting with Michelle Khoo from Deloitte.